Hey everyone out there, today I'm bringing you a seafood soup that is off the chain, Equa style, sopa de marisco. I've got all the ingredients here. I just want to show you basically what we're going to need. So what I have is, which we're going to make the sofrito, which is what we're going to stir fry first. I have one tomato. I'm going to use half of this red pepper, one white onion, and I'm going to use about 3 to 4 of these green long onion scallions, and I'm using cilantro. Also, the seafood that I'm using today, you could change up the seafood, you could add different, you could add more. It's really up to you. The only thing missing from this recipe that I usually like to put in is lobster. I went to the seafood store and they only had dead lobsters, and I just didn't feel like getting a dead lobster. So what we have today is, I have some fresh calamari. I'm going to clean it and I'm going to cut that. I have some of the head parts. I like those. I'm going to clean that out too. I have a piece of cod with no bones in it. Make sure of that. I have some fish with the heads. The heads some shrimp, excuse me, with the heads, because the heads are going to give us that extra bit of flavor that I want for this soup. And what I have here soaking in some cold water with some salt is, I have little necks and I have regular chowder clams. So what I'm doing is I'm letting them soak in there for about 10 minutes so all the sand could come out of them. I have these 2 rock crabs. I put them in the freezer. They're dead. And I have crab claws that I got. These are good right now, so I got a few of them so I can add them at the end. So also what I have is the plátanos. This soup goes with plantain, so we need to cut that plantain small. And I have some lemon so we can squeeze once the soup is done, just squeeze it on top. Also, one more thing is that I don't have here, but I'm about to go send someone to get me, is a baguette. I'm getting a French baguette. You cut it up, you toast it with some olive oil, and it becomes that crusty, yummy bread. So what we do is, at the end, when the soup is ready, you just put 2 slices of your crusty bread and you enjoy it. So what we're going to basically do first, I want to explain to you, before I start doing everything, I'm going to cut up these vegetables really small. I'm going to open the plantain and I'm going to slice it in little round slices. I'm going to save that on the side. What I'm going to do with the shrimp is, I'm going to leave the heads on, but I am going to peel them and devein them. So what I'm going to do with that peel is, I'm going to make a broth, a seafood broth. All right, and I'm going to clean this and I'm going to slice it. And so the order that we're going to use this in is, we're going to make our sofrito. Once our sofrito is done, we're going to add the shrimp stock that we're going to make. Once that shrimp stock boils a little bit with everything is when I'm going to add the plantain. After the plantain cooks a little bit, I'm going to start off with I throw in my clams, and I throw in my crab, and I throw in my shrimp. Then when I see a few minutes that it's cooked, I usually take out my shrimp once they're cooked, just because I want to put them on the side and I don't want them to get super boiling. So I'll take those out. Then when my soup is boiling, I'll throw in the calamari and the fish. And then I'll also throw in the crab claws, because these are already cooked, These are already cooked, but we want them to take the flavor of our soup. Also, one thing, when after we add the seafood, we add about 1 teaspoon to a tablespoon of peanut butter. I know you're like, peanut butter, but you know what? Actually, the peanut butter, we might add it with the sofrito. I'm going to double check. This is my mom's recipe. I'm going to double check. But the peanut butter, it gives it this delicious flavor. And it's just so good. And then it all just comes together. And I know I'm talking a lot, but you're going to love the soup. It's just the bomb. And please excuse my camera, I'm always moving it around, okay? All right, so we'll be back with our cut up vegetables. Hey guys, so here I just wanted to show you, before anything, I'm making my seafood broth. So what I did is, I took the shells of the shrimp, and I ended up also just putting the heads in, because the heads have I don't know if that's part of the blood membrane, but it's this little orange thing, and that actually gives it so much flavor. So what I threw in there too was a piece of fish that had some bones I didn't want, and some of the calamari, and I let it all boil. And then before I strain it, I take this potato masher and I just mash a little bit to get all the flavor out of everything. So then what we do is we put this through a really fine sieve, and we use that broth, but we don't use anything that's in here. Okay? It's just for flavor. Now this broth here, it's gonna add so much flavor in your soup. You definitely need to make this broth. I mean, if you don't want, you don't have to, but it just definitely adds a lot of flavor to your soup, you know? So you see, these are just bits that I don't want. These are the shells. I cleaned the shrimp, and I ended up removing the heads. So then that's it, it's ready. So now I'm gonna pass it through a sieve, and I'm gonna keep it warm in a pot, and I'm gonna start with stir frying my veggies. Here I have my vegetables all ready to get stir fried. Also, another thing I have forgotten to tell you was the garlic. I use 4 cloves of garlic, and the cilantro I'm adding it at the end, just so you know. That's why you don't see it there, okay? So also don't forget your garlic, and then you cut everything up really fine. Great, so here I wanted to show you the crab. I broke it apart and I cut it in half. I cleaned out all the gills. I left a little bit of this. I want that flavor. That's like, I guess, the poop, but I still washed it in water. So I cut that up. I cut each crab in 2. I cut my my squid up. You see, I cut them in rings. I cut the tails. I cut it all up. I also cleaned out my shrimp, and I cut the fish up. Clean my shrimp up. I want to show you what I did with the plantain. What I did with the plantain is I took almost the whole one and I shredded up a bit in the small fine side, that one. I shredded it up, and then I sliced other pieces small. And then what I did is I took a tablespoon of the peanut butter, and I'm melting it up with a little bit of water. Also, what I like to season my shrimp and my fish with is a little bit of comino and some salt. Another thing is, right now that I'm going to fry up the sofrito, I'm going to add a package of sazon in the sofrito. Remember how I make my Equa style sofrito? It's kind of just like that. You put some of the sazon right on top. If you watch my other videos, then you kind of know. So you're going to have to see this whole video to see how the soup is done. Just because I guess I'm doing stuff in steps like that. And there's a few things I forget. Like my mother just told me right now. She's like, wait, you know that those crabs are raw, which are these. I thought they were cooked, these claws already, but they're raw. So what I'm going to do is when I put the clams in is when I'm putting them in so they can cook. Okay? So let's start. Great. So as you can see, I started stir frying my veggies. The sofrito, you know, it's what gives everything all that delicious flavor. So once this is a little clear is when we add the peanut butter, okay? I'm adding my sazon. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this. Yummy, 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 yummy. A little kosher salt. There you go. I don't add that much salt because I feel like once it's done, I can taste it and see how much salt I'm really going to need. Alright. So now we let this get a little translucent, and that's when we add the peanut butter and the shredded plantains, okay? Great. So right now, you see it's all ready. And my plantains. Yummy. A new love, baby. A new love. Yeah, yeah, I'm looking for a new love. Remember Jodie Watley? I love her. That's how I'm doing right now. I'm looking for a new love. Anyway, okay. So right now, this is ready. See? It's translucent. Beautiful, smells off the chain. So now what we do is we're adding our shredded plantain. Mix that in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Great. So now what I do right now is I'm going to add the peanut butter mixture, which is basically peanut butter and some warm water. Yummy. I'm going to add some of the broth I have. Uh-oh. Y'all know that one. Uh-oh. That's the jam. Soul Kitchen years ago. Bump, bump. Break. For love, right? For love. I break for love. Alright, so we're going good right here. I'm actually going to add a little bit of more water. You know what? Let me add more water. It's hard to add water and hold the camera. Great, so I added just all the broth. I said water before, but you know we meant broth. So I just added it all. Another thing that you're going to know that we're going to cook this for like 15 minutes, the plantains, adding the rest of them. We're going to cook this for about 15 minutes before we start putting all our seafood. All right, so when we're about to add our seafood, we're actually going to put like 3 more cups of water. So remember, before it was all broth, seafood broth that we made, but now after it will be some water. So right now I'm going to let this boil. I'm going to cover it, let it boil, and cook for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes is when I'm going to start putting my seafood. Okay. Great, so I've been boiling the plantains for about 15 minutes. Now I'm going to add about 3 cups more of water. And when that comes to a boil, I'm going to start adding my seafood. I want to add my seafood when it's boiling. So right now I'm adding the extra water that I'm going to need. I have my hot water on the side. That's when I'm going to add the crabs I cut up. I'm going to add all the claws. These are raw ones. I'm going to add the clams that I had soaking in water with salt for 15 minutes, and then I rinsed them off really well. So after I add all my clams, I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. I need the crab to cook well. And then I'm going to add the rest of my seafood, which cooks immediately, which is the shrimp, the fish, and the calamari. Yummy. This is the bomb. Oh, almost burnt myself. So when this soup is done, that's when you're going to add the cilantro that you chopped up really fine, okay? So now we cover that. So it's been boiling for about 13 minutes. I took out some of the crab just because I wanted to also have space and check that all the clams open. Because remember, if you have a clam that didn't open, you immediately throw that away. Okay? So now, I'm going to add my squid. Yummy. Shrimp and fish. Remember the shrimp? We added comino, cumin, and salt. Move that gently. When it comes back to a boil, then we add our crab back. And at this point also, we add all this other seafood is when we're going to add our chopped cilantro. Yummy, use all that cilantro up. And also at this point you taste it and you see if you need more salt in it, okay? So taste it at this point. And I'm going to show you a secret I have too. I guess I'm going to tell you my secret. What I do is I'm going to squeeze half a lemon. Try not to get any seeds in there. And 2 shakes of Tabasco sauce. Okay, that was like 3. Mix that up. When it comes to a boil, add the crab. And it should be ready. Cover it. Be back in 2 minutes. Yum. So here's our soup. I'm going to add an extra dash of just lemon around. Yummy. Oh my gosh. So here's our fish. Look at our beautiful fish. Our shrimp. We have our delicious calamari rings. Squid. We have our crab. And we have our crab claws. And of course our delicious clams. Now look at our plantain. See, it gets so nice and soft and it just melts into the soup. So good. Let's try a little bit of this. Try with a little piece of fish. Wow, the flavor. It's so yummy. Try one of those clams. Wow, that broth. Yummy. Look at that. That broth tastes so good. One more try. Mmm. So good. So good. So freaking good. Anyway, I hope you love this recipe as much as I do. This is an Ecuadorian soup, Seli style. Similar in many other ways of everyone else. We make this Ecuadorian soup with the plátano and the peanut butter. You could also make changes to this. Remember, you could add less seafood. You could add more different other types of seafood, like lobster. I love it with lobster. Mussels. I mean, octopus. Anything else you could think of, you can just work with it. You know, you can also add more peanut butter if you want a little stronger flavor, or you can add a little less. But really, less than a tablespoon, I wouldn't use. But you know, it's a big amount. It's like this is family style soup. Or for yourself, you eat it up and save it for a few days, and you're gonna have a lot of energy. This is a delicious sopa de marisco, seafood soup, Ecuatoriano style. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have fun. And the crusty bread, I didn't get it in time, but if you get that crusty bread, you put it on top. And another thing I forgot I was gonna tell you earlier, was when you add all your seafood, if you have a cup of dry white wine, use it. I didn't have. I ran out of wine. I was sad. It's like it just gives it a little extra yumminess. So if you have the white wine, use it. A cup of white wine when you add the seafood. All right. So I hope you've enjoyed this delicious Ecuadorian style soup, and have fun and have a good night and take care. Love you. Bye.